Hey everybody, this is Sean Carson.
And this is Don Phillips.
You're listening to Around the Bend
with Brenda Lynn.
Thank you, Don and Sean, for that nice little intro back into the show. This is Brenda Lynn Allen, and live on the air, I have a friend of mine who you all are going to be friends with by the end of this interview. He's such a great guy, Clif Doyal. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Brenda. How are you today?
Very, very good. Now, I could go through your resume. We're going to go through that a little bit here, but you do so much. You manage people. You represent people in the music industry. You're an amazing musician yourself, a great drummer, and you've got a new venture that we're going to be focusing on today as well. But you and I first met through a mutual friend, David Thornhill, who is just an outstanding musician, and we got to jam and play some music together a few months ago. Yeah. That was fun.
That was so much fun. Oh, man.
It really was. You're just a great drummer, so versatile. And, I mean, Dave will throw a lot of different kind of genres at you, won't he?
And Dave will absolutely keep you on your toes.
Yes. Well, no, that was just so much fun.
And so did you, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. And your wife, I got to sit, me and my dad were there, and we got to visit with you and your wife, and it was just so much fun. I just felt like I really hit it off with the great people at that party that day. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. It was just a wonderful experience.
Yeah. So on your Facebook profile, I love it. You have so many things listed that you do. It says he's a husband, father, grandfather, music manager, publicist, fashion rep, supporter of the underdog human. I love that. That is so true because you show a lot of compassion in your work. I'm going to let you talk. Tell me about wherever you want to start here. I would like to talk about your music. You've been playing your whole life, right?
I literally have been. I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan when I was 5, so that dates me a little bit, but that's okay. Age is just a number.
Yes.
And I really, at that moment, knew that that's what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be in music. And by the time I was about 11, my mother knew that was just an unstoppable force. Mm-hmm. My father worked away on road construction, and he did not want me to be a musician, but my mother knew there was no stopping it. So she sold a cow, told my dad the cow died, bought me my first drum set.
That's a good story.
There's a country song in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I started playing actually at the just insistence of an 7th grade music teacher who insisted that because I was beating on my desk, so she insisted I play the bongos in the Christmas program for Kumbaya, and so that was my big debut. And then she just insisted that I have a drum set by the spring concert, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to play the drums. She said, Clif, you beat on your desk all day long. You have rhythm. I know you can play. And I said, well, there's nobody here to teach me. She said, we lived in a rural town, very rural community, population 98. We live 5 miles out of town. I said, there's no one here to teach me. And she said, you'll teach yourself.
Oh, wow.
And so I did. And that springboarded me into my first professional experience being paid to perform with a gospel group called the Gospelettes when I was about 12. And we performed around the Midwest. And then shortly, I had musicians, adult musicians, calling on me to perform with them in nightclubs. So my mother, God rest her soul, would haul her son around to these pretty dive sort of knife and gun clubs to play music, and she would sit there all night while guys hit on her, and so her son could live out his dream. And so here I am, I'm 12, 13 years old, playing with adult bands. Still today, some of the best performers and singers I ever worked with was that group of people. And I went on to perform with different variations of those singers and performers for many, many years, probably about a decade of the first 10 years of my professional career. So,
wow.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I started out young and really got to be on the job trained by some of the best musicians in the business.
That is awesome. Now, where did you grow up? You said it was a small town. What state did you grow up in?
Well, I was born in Oklahoma, Western Oklahoma, but by the time I was a small child, we moved to Missouri, where my father's family was from, where he was from.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up just south of Springfield, Missouri, in a little town named Hurley, Missouri. And we lived on a dairy and beef cattle farm just about 5 miles out of town. So lots of time for a young man to dream about what he wanted to do for his future, and a lot of hard work, as a farm kid. So that really kind of taught me two things at once. You have to work hard, and you have to dream big.
Right.
And I always dreamed big.
Wow. That's awesome. So what music is what brought you to Nashville then, I assume?
Yes, yes. Actually, in well, I played professionally from the time I was 12 until I was 30 full time. And by that time, I launched a booking agency out of my bedroom in Norman, Oklahoma, which is just south of Oklahoma City. So I had, in the interim of all those years, I had lived overseas. I had played overseas. I had played a lot of different styles of music, from gospel to country to rock and roll to blues, everything but jazz. I'm not a great jazz drummer. Now, Dave Thornhill is a great jazz player,
You were a
and
great jazz drummer.
I don't know about that, but so yeah, it's so I grew up in that rural area, and there really wasn't much to do except for practice drums and dream about where I wanted to go with my life.
Yeah. Wow. And you're still dreaming because you're still doing all kinds of things that we're going to be talking about. You talked about the booking agency. You've been representing several amazing artists, one of which we had on the show over the airwaves, over the phone a few months back, Andrea Pearson. We're going to play some of her music later. But what is it like for you to, because I know you say represent the underdog. These artists are becoming, more and more successful all the time and having fun, it looks like. And you're a part of all that.
Well, it is very exciting for me. When I was about the time I started my booking agency, it was really quite by accident because I never had really dreamed I would go in that direction. I was wanted to be a player, but I began to develop a circuit in Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, Kansas, and a lot of acts were coming to me wanting my help to get them into the clubs I was booking my bands in,
Mm-hmm.
my band that I played in. And one of those artists was Toby Keith. And Toby was still in the garage at that point. And our singer in the band at the time said, you really need to go see this kid. He's got something going on. And so I became Toby's first agent.
Wow.
This would have been around 1984. And Toby and I continued our professional relationship off and on until around 1991. 90, well, I guess it was around 93 when his first single, Should Have Been a Cowboy, came out. And then, I'm a small boutique company, so, he went on to bigger and better things as far as, booking representation. But because of the circuit that I built up and the bands that I represented, about 1988, I started getting calls from Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those was from Doug Grau at Warner Brothers Records, who said, we have a new act we have in development we're looking to get representation for. They need bookings in the Southwest. And everybody we talk to says, you're the guy. So I said, send me their press kit. And I put it on when I got it. And literally by the third song, I called him back and I said, sign me up. I'd never booked an act sight unseen ever. I knew the acts I worked with. I knew what they were capable of. By that time, I was booking the largest clubs in the United States, from Denver to Phoenix to, the all across Canada. It was pretty much if you were a major nightclub in America, I was working with you. So I was able to plug them into the circuit of rooms I was working in. And then that really opened the floodgates for a whole group of developing acts that either were signed to record labels or I believed would be signed to record labels.
Mm-hmm.
But Little Texas, ultimately, that connection with them in 1988, by 1991, I moved to Nashville to take over as their national booking agent. And then the floodgates really opened because we were making a lot of noise. And so in short succession, I handled booking. I was still working with Toby at that time as well. So in short succession, I worked with who I was already working with. I'd worked with two early versions of that band, booking both of them. And then when they came together as Ricochet, then I took over as their national agent. And then Lone Star came along about 1973, 74, right in there, just as they were starting to get attention. They were still called Texas C at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, it just grew and grew. I worked with a great group signed to Capitol called Pearl River. I was Brian White's early agent, and nearly ended up managing Brian. But I felt like there was a bigger manager in the wings and Marty Gamblin with Glenn Campbell's company that could help Brian. And I actually pushed him in that direction because I felt like he could do more. He was more well connected. And, I worked with Wade Hayes in his early career. And so, yeah, the 90s were just a whirlwind of me kind of being the farm team for developing label acts.
Yeah.
So labels would call me to come look at their new acts. And by the end of the 90s, I was getting kind of burned out from the booking.
Mm-hmm.
I had my wife and business partner at the time was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. We moved our offices home so I could take care of her. I really wasn't able to get out and travel much and really didn't know how I was going to make a living if I wasn't going to be a booking agent anymore. And God opened a door for me to become a publicist. And that's how I've come to represent people now like Andrea Pearson, who's an amazing talent. By the way, her video, You're It, I think you're going to play that song later. That just hit the top of the charts at the Country Network this week, actually
Yay.
Today.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very happy for her. And then I represent several other artists for publicity. I've worked with a string of artists. Some people know, some people don't. I represented Stella Parton, who's just a fabulous talent, and I
Yes.
represented her. And we're actually talking about doing some things together again, so we'll see.
Very good.
And then I manage artists as well. I manage an artist named Hannah Bethel, who is Americana country artist coming with a new project in 22. I manage a pop singer named John Mullins, who was on The Voice in 2020, did very well. He's just released this Friday will be his third Christmas single, 3 weeks in a row. So he's doing really well. And I have several other projects in the wings, management-wise. Until recently, I managed the front men of country, who's Tim Rushlow from Little Texas, Larry Stewart from Restless Heart, and Richie McDonald from Lone Star. They have a super group called the Front Men of Country, and I actually helped them kind of put that together and brand it and get it ready to launch. And so, yeah, I love to work with creative talents and people who excel at what they do. And you are an exceptional talent yourself.
Oh.
So
Thank you.
I know good talent when I hear it and when I see it.
Thank you so much. You're so sweet. I just, this is so much fun for me to learn more about you as our listeners do at the same time. And it's just, you're so talented yourself and musically, especially, I mean, in the music business, without a doubt, you're talented. I mean, look at your resume. And like I was telling you before we got on air, we could talk for 3 hours, me and you, about your career and only scratch the surface. But I'm just amazed at your musical talent and just everything you got going on. And I love what you said earlier. There are two things that are sticking out to me. One is dream big. The other is that age is just a number. You continue to create. You don't just stop, do you? You've got more things coming round the bend, And I want to talk about your brand new design company that you have going.
Well, yeah, I have just recently did a soft launch of a company called Clif X, and it's CLIFX Fashions, 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I had been dreaming about for a while. Basically, it's a fashion brand management company, and I have two designers signed. Both are West Coast designers. One's based in San Francisco, the other one in Los Angeles. And they create clothing that would be targeted towards female performers, um, um, red carpet events, entertainment events, and then also just really high quality clothing that would be good for just really everyday women of all shapes and sizes. And fashion is something I've always been interested in, and I especially was interested in these two ladies because, again, their designs fit very well with music, and music and fashion have always been a part of my life. I grew up in the '60s. I wanted to dress like my idols, Jimi Hendrix and the Who and Janis Joplin, and so my mother was a seamstress. Here's my mother again.
Mm-hmm.
She was a seamstress, made all of my clothes until I was about 17. So I would see the latest, pirate shirt or bell bottoms or whatever it was that I wanted, and she'd create a pattern and make them for me. And so fashion is something I've always been interested in, especially women's fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a heterosexual male, but I love that women are able to be a lot more creative. I mean, you ladies can change your hair, you can change your dress, you can do anything you want. And you're like a beautiful canvas that can be, painted on with all your ideas. And, fashion to me is about making the woman, you know, beautiful and capturing the inner beauty that all women have and being able to help style and dress them. And so yeah, it's fashion is something I've always been interested in, and this has kind of been in the back burner in my head for about a year now or longer. And I just finally launched it and getting some really strong reaction. And I'm actually quite surprised at the reaction that we're getting. Although I don't think people who know me well are surprised because I've always dressed when I was younger and playing in rock bands, obviously dressed very flamboyantly, but just always I post about fashion and I work with entertainers. I work with them on their styling and their fashion, and it's just something I've always done, but really never thought about creating a business around it. So
Wow.
Cliff X Fashions on Instagram, Facebook. Find us there. It doesn't matter if you're an entertainer or just right now we're only carrying women's fashions, but we got some really cool denim designs that would work for any woman, and we got some really sparkly high-end stage onesies and jumpsuits that would work very well for entertainers, and so we got a little something for everybody.
Very
But again,
good.
it's
Very good.
it's connected to entertainment. It's connected to back to the music. Again, it's music and fashion have always been kind of intrinsically linked.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. I'll share your page, you guys, Cliff X Fashions. That I'm so proud of you, and that is so exciting because it's like everything that your passions that you had when you were a kid, just from talking to you, it's all fusing together. You're able to do all of these things. I mean, you didn't just have to pick one or think you had to pick one, because I think sometimes we get into that, oh, I need to pick one thing. You've gotten to do all of it, and you're continuing to create and expand and build on it. It must feel pretty good.
Well, it does. I've just always been about what excites me, and music is really the core of it all. And as long as it's good music, I'm excited about it. And I've been so blessed to work with so many creative and talented people, many people that your listeners would know, many people that they don't know. And it's literally taken me all across the United States and many parts of the world. I've performed in the Middle East. I've performed in Europe. Tour managed acts in the United States and overseas, from 4-piece bands to 24-piece big bands. So it's taken me literally around a good portion of the world. And I have a saying. I wake up every day on fire thinking this could be the day that changes the rest of my life.
Oh.
And as long as I still feel that way, then I'll continue to strive towards that artistic excellence that I've always aspired to my whole life.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. And you took you answered the question before I asked it. I was going to say, what would you say to our listeners? What kind of advice? And I think that was very well said. That's awesome.
Yeah, just follow your dreams, follow your passions. Don't be afraid.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness, this inspires me. I love it so much. Clif Doyal, for those of you all just tuning in, every aspect of the music business, just about, and an amazing musician, and now in design. Clif X Designs on Facebook and Instagram, correct?
Clif X Fashions.
Clif X Fashions. Okay.
Yep.
And I'll share that. I'll make sure I go to your page. I've read a little bit and looked a little bit already, so I'll make sure I share it with our listeners on our page.
And then I have a CDA publicity website, which is also, people can see what I do from a PR perspective. And then people can always find me on LinkedIn, CLIF DOYAL. That's pretty comprehensive. I'm in the process of launching a site for Clif Doyal Agency, relaunching a site. But those are the three kind of main places where people can find out more about me. And I'm always looking for great talent, that next thing that really excites me, that I can help. I have to feel like I can really move the needle before I work with an artist. I feel like I can help them. If I feel that way and they feel that way, then that's the best partnership.
Absolutely. Oh, that's exciting. You seem like you would be amazing to work with. I know Andrea Pearson has some great things to say about you, and I love watching her career. Yeah, her career is just blossoming. I'm real proud of her on the video. We're going to play that song here, but is there anything else you want to share with our listeners today, or say to anyone tuning in?
Yes. I would like to say, if you have the chance to see Brenda Allen perform live, you need to do it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Clif. You're amazing. Tell us about the song we're going to close with today.
You're going to hear a song called You're It. It was written by Andrea Pearson. She produced it, and she shot an amazing video in Sedona for the song. And you can see that on the Country Network. You can watch it online on YouTube. And it's just a fabulous song, very uplifting, and it shows the positive, happy side of Andrea, and she's a bright light. So yeah, Andrea Pearson, You're It.
Thank you, Clif Doyal. You have an amazing day today. Stay on the line with me for just a moment, but I'm going to just go ahead and wrap it up here and play her song. Thank you so much for this today.
Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
So good tonight, you're just a little bit longer.